everybody, it's Rhonda here from Champagne Soapery. Today we are going to be doing an amazing video with a lovely business owner just like myself. Her name is Jan, but I'll let Jan introduce herself. Okay, so today we are going to be welcoming lovely Jan. So Jan, please introduce yourself, tell me where you're from and your company's name.
I'm Jan Cates. My company's name is the Champagne Soapery, and I'm from Kawula, which is rural New South Wales, but pretty close to Canberra. So I also have another paid job where I work in Canberra. It's an easy commuting distance.
Oh, yeah. Great. And I love the name of your business. That is such a sweet name, because I do say that quite often to people, that names are so important. You know, I tell people don't get a whole sentence. You know, when I started, I had 3 names in one. And it was like, oh no, which is my YouTube channel, which of course is Nelson Interior Soapery. And I regretted that. So I had to drop the middle piece, because you want people to remember who you are. I mean, that's basically the main bit. So anyone, you have Jan's name, so of course you can Google her, you can Google her business so you can see what it's about, but we will give you some information as we go along. Now, we do have a whole heap of questions, everyone, and I'm going to ask Jan these questions, and of course she can elaborate on them and tell us all about her amazing business, so that we can get small business off the ground around the world. So some of these interviews will not just be in Australia. We do have people coming from the US, Japan, New Zealand, and around. We'll have quite a few interviews. But today is all about lovely Jan, who, of course, is in Australia. As we just said, she's close to the capital of Australia. So now let's talk about my next question. And I'm sorry if I'm looking down, but I need to remember my questions. So now, number 1 question is, why or who prompted you to open your business?
I thought of it myself after I'd done 12 months worth of classes, just once every few months. There's an excellent soap school in Canberra. Shouts out to Wattlebird, Canberra.
Yep.
And so I went along to learn for a hobby for myself. And at that point, I had no intention of doing anything with it. It was just a really fun thing to do in a small group.
Yeah.
And I've always had one form of creative hobby on the go or another. And then about 12 months after that, and I was still doing classes, I thought I could actually do this when I retire. So I better get onto it now, because we all know how long these things take.
Yeah.
And I thought, my day job is an HR manager, so that's not really transferable into retirement. But I wanted to choose something where I wasn't committed to doing 9 till 5, Monday to Friday.
Yeah.
And I felt that I could, because I was so naive, I felt that I could do lots of soap in advance. And if I didn't feel like doing any work any particular week, fortnight or month, that'd be cool.
Yeah, that is one of those things that lots of people think they're just going to make soap. I mean, I woke up and thought, I'm going to make soap and sell it, you know, and my journey lasted for years. So many people do not understand that soap making doesn't happen overnight. So if anyone's watching and you're new at soap making, you do need to practice. Soap is not that hard to make, but it's hard to make it good. I mean, there is a difference, as I'm sure you'd agree, Jan, that, you know, we kind of start with a little base recipe that's, you know, not really that great for anything, but it's just an average recipe. And then you kind of learn, you know, as we kind of go into the whole soap making journey. So tell us what you actually sell. Do you sell soap or other options as well as soap?
I sell soap and I sell bath bombs.
Okay, bath bombs are huge. Lots of people love bath bombs.
Yeah, I mean, I look at your stock behind you, not of
Yeah,
bath bombs, but generally, and I just think, oh wow, one day my shelves might
yeah,
be full.
yeah,
But I just make small batches because I'm selling small. I work full time.
yeah,
Um, I really only I really only launched my business in November.
yeah,
It was an absolute baptism of fire.
yes.
Apart from when I was 17, I've never worked in retail,
Okay, yep,
and I've never run a business.
yes, I
So
knew. Yeah,
yeah, so I didn't have processes and systems in place that somebody
yeah,
with even basic retail experience would have thought about beforehand. So I launched in November and was really on the back foot.
yes, yeah.
Yeah, it was totally fine and exciting,
Mm.
but absolutely nerve-wracking at the same time. And there were lots of very late nights
I can
packaging
relate to that.
packaging orders at 2 a.m.
Yes, yep, I can relate to that. Totally relate. And I think that's the thing that I always say to people, going into it, you learn every day. Like even now, I mean, I learn things all the time. Even people tell me things and I think, oh, I haven't thought of that, or they'll ask me a question and I think, oh, hold on, let me think about that for a minute. So, we learn all the time, but I think, it's good that, like you said, you had that experience of, going to classes. Obviously you could talk to other people in the classes and things like that. And I think that is a really good start. Whether someone starts at a conference, on YouTube, a class, you just need somebody to kind of mentor you a little bit, and that might even be something that anyone's watching that, they don't know a YouTuber, but maybe that is a great
Yeah,
alternative to go, okay, I don't have the money for a class or something else, but maybe they can feel a little bit mentored and ask
yeah.
questions.
I've certainly spent literally hundreds of hours on YouTube's.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, and I think as a new soap business, you go through a process of being excited by many things,
Yeah.
and then you kind of have to filter exactly what it is that you're trying to achieve. And because I work full time,
Yeah.
I couldn't, and not for a long time will I be able to do everything that I want to do. And to me
Mm.
personally, I'd rather do just a few things well to
Yeah.
start with and get my confidence, get established, and then I can diversify later.
Yeah. And there's plenty of people that only make soap. They don't do anything but soap. And there is a company in Tassie, and I can't think of them, but they're a very big company now, and I've seen them, and they're all about green. Everything's all about green and nature and biodegradable and so on, and just an amazing, idea that they have. And I will have to look up their name, and we will pop this name down so everyone knows who it is. But they were the same, and they just started only soap, and I think now they've gone into shampoo bars and a few extra, but I always thought that was really amazing that you can have this huge business on soap. And this is what I say to some people, the goal might be, just as a hobby. It may be just to sell to family, or, if you're involved in a church group or something, maybe you want to sell there. But not everyone's idea is like what I do, and on a big level and making in slabs, and that's fine. And that's what I do try and say to people, that we're all at different levels of business, and some people never want to do what I do wholesale, because it is, I'm going to be honest, it's a lot of pressure. It's a huge amount of pressure getting hundreds of bars of soap out every month. It's the pressure is 100% there. So I'm glad that you said, about doing something good, finding it and then making sure you're really good at that. Because, I mean, you can say there's some people that might do candles and soap and bath bombs and lotions, but if you're not really good at one, I'd say stick to one and be good at it first. Even if somebody
Yeah,
else has that, idea. And I'm sure that you'll agree with that. And that kind of leads a little bit into my next question of, is there something unique that you have in your business? So some people might use hemp oil, for instance, or myself, I'm all about shea. I use fair trade shea. That is a unique product to me that I pretty much put in everything.
So I knew from the very beginning that I wanted to be at the luxury end of the market. Yeah. I knew from the very beginning I was never going to do markets. Yeah. I just don't have time. I can't fit it into my life. Yeah. And so I only sell online. Yeah. And so my target market is people that are looking for a luxury product as opposed to a rustic product or an organic product, or whatever specialties people want to go into. Yeah. So my unique angle is my signature bar, which is called Salute, which is Italian for cheers, as in clink, cheers.
Yes, okay, get
it. Is made from Prosecco, which is as my water replacement. So I didn't want to use champagne because there's all kinds of connotations with licensing and the name, etc. So I chose Prosecco, which is an Italian sparkling wine, I'm allowed to say. Yeah. And my male signature bar is a mechanics bar made with Guinness. Oh. So almost all, every one of my lines also has shea butter, because I wanted to bring that specific luxury into my product as well.
Yeah, that's interesting. So, yeah, and I love hearing that, how everyone has a different spin, and that's what I always say to people, that, soap's been made for thousands of years, but, it's just how you put that spin on it, whether it's your packaging, your ingredients, the way that you're pushing your product forward, and as you said, you're looking at the luxury brand, which is, I guess, similar to me. I'm in that medium to luxury. So I kind of zone myself in that, but I'm definitely not that organic thing. I like mine to look, I guess, well, let me show you here, just something like that. So it's a bit neater, so it's neat, that you already had that a bit of direction where you wanted to go. Because
I think it's really important to have a firm idea in your mind about how you're going to manage that and what your angle is going to be. Because very early on, I had to think about packaging, business cards, labeling, that kind of thing. And it needs to match with the product. I didn't feel it would be a good match, for instance, to have a business called the Champagne Soapery and wrap my soaps in brown paper and string, even though that's an amazing look, in a different context if you were selling rustic soap. Yeah. So there was quite a lot of thought put into how I was going to carry the theme, I guess.
And I think you're very insightful to see that, because a lot of people don't see that. They just, they say, well, I love purple. So then they want every single label to be purple, but that's not realistic, because you're cutting out too many people. And I always say to people, it's okay if you made a mistake and then go forward. But really, you want to think about it at the start. If it's a business, and this isn't a hobby, you really, like you said, you knew the direction you wanted to go. You knew with that labeling that it had to be a certain thing, because, as you said, making it look rustic wasn't going to suit your brand. And then you get a bit lost when you don't have that. And I think that is really important for people to really think about that. You really do need that direction. And I know, because when I started with this and started with that, and then I just thought, look, because I was listening to everyone else, and in the end I said, that's it. Yeah, I've got to listen to me. What do I want? And then that's when I went down my avenue and said, okay, my avenue is more floral and luxury, rather than before I thought, oh, I've got to do it black and white because that's modern. I've got to do this. You do kind of find your direction, but it's good that you had that insight to really find that from the start, because it saves you money. I mean,
Yeah, actually, I was able to access a New South Wales government funded training program, I guess,
yeah,
for establishing a small business. So, so I hate to think what kind of pickle I would be in otherwise without this, but I virtually had a business coach,
yeah,
no knowledge of soap or cottage industry necessarily, but directed me along the lines of establishing a business plan.
yeah,
And once you do a business plan, it makes you think about all these other things that you might not have thought about, because speaking for myself, I was very much a bit of a dory. Oh, look at that. I want to do that. I want to do that. Oh,
yeah,
look, there's something else I want to do.
yeah,
And I had this person kind of pulling me back and saying, well, what's your 5-year plan? And, you
yes,
know, what are you doing about insurance?
yes,
That
yeah,
kind of
yeah.
reality check.
Yeah, yeah. When I first started, I wasn't selling, but I thought I'm not going to get insurance, And then, obviously I wasn't selling anything. And then I thought, oh, maybe I should. And it's the same as, if you're a boss, you've got to have workers' compensation and all of those things. But a lot of people think, well, it's only insurance, doesn't matter. But it really does, because if you're sued, then that's the end. And people
Yeah.
forget that it's not just the end of your business. Your house can be taken, like everything can be taken. And so it is very important for anyone that's watching this to really do a bit of research. My suggestion from the start is ring up a broker. A broker will lead you into all different directions of different insurance. So, they'll find so many different ones, and then you can decide from there, what suits your business. So please, everyone, do look at insurance. It's so important. It really is. Now, our next question is about research. So where did you start researching, and did you find it helpful? Obviously, like you said, you did do the classes and you found, the business coach. So what other sort of
Yeah.
research?
So YouTube, of course, lots and lots of YouTube. And I very quickly realized which YouTubers I felt suited, were delivering information that I needed.
Yeah.
Um,
Value.
Nelson Soapery, of course.
Thank you.
Put a plug
And
in.
it's good that you say that about, YouTubers that sort of were giving you what you wanted, because that's what I say to people too, and I do get asked quite often, oh, people want to open a YouTube channel. And I say, you have to bring value. And honestly, that's the only reason why I've been successful, is because I knew I wanted to deliver value that I couldn't find before. And a lot of people show you how to do it, but don't give you a recipe and aren't totally transparent. And I wanted someone that was really transparent. And I thought, I'm just going to say it as it is. And, I still get people that say, oh my God, I can't believe you're telling people you only had sold 2 things this month. But that would have been helpful for me if someone had said, oh, I only sold 2 things. And I think that's a reality check of, okay, you can't give up your day job.
Yeah.
But we see all these people with hundreds and hundreds of thousands of subscribers, and you think, well, okay, how hard can it be? I mean, get an iPhone and start filming. But that's interesting that, like you said, you've got to find someone that aligns with you, whether it's myself or a different YouTuber. I think that's really important.
Yeah. So I have probably 4 Australian YouTubers that I follow, because I think it's easy to be misled in some really important areas if you're following from in other countries,
Yeah.
which I do as well, but I take their labeling information with a grain of salt, for instance, because it doesn't apply to us. So for me, it was important to know what's true in Australia.
Yeah.
So yeah.
And people don't realize Australia is quite strict on our labeling. It really is. Even, where you've got to have, the volume of your product, people just think they can put it in the corner, but you can't. It has to be center. And they're the sort of things I think that, if you're watching someone overseas, you may not get that as well. And that's why I do have a disclaimer in most of my videos about, you've got to do extra research.
Yeah.
But tell us, who are the other ones that you're watching in case someone else wants to find another YouTuber too?
Yeah, Dawn Organics.
Yes,
George from Dawn Organics. Ellie's Everyday.
Oh yeah, Ellie's great. She taught me a lot at the start.
Yeah,
she's fantastic. Yeah, very good.
And Soy and Shay.
Oh yeah, Keely from Soy and Shay. Yeah,
Keely Towler from Soy and Shay. Yeah,
I just watched her today. I watch Keely quite often.
Yeah, so subscribe, people, and click the like button and the notification button. I watch other things from time to time because, YouTube automatically feeds things your way once you start down the rabbit hole.
Yeah.
And I look at other channels just to admire their work, not to want to do their work necessarily. I mean, one of the things that I didn't say in the beginning about me setting up this business is I'm not particularly creative.
Yeah.
I can do lots of crafty things, but I'm no Lisa from I Dream and Soap.
Oh yeah, she's amazing.
No way.
Yeah, she's
so much fiddly stuff. Like I'd give up.
Yeah.
So I watch her because I like her scientific accuracy.
Yes.
But I don't want to replicate what she's doing. I don't want to replicate anything that anybody's doing, really.
No.
The research was more around just finding out what other options might exist and particularly what other ingredients people were using and what those ingredients brought to the product.
Yeah.
So that gave me a basis to start experimenting and testing products.
Yeah.
Because I bought books and all the rest of it, but you kind of have to. I think
just playing around with the product is, it teaches you so much. I mean, I always say this to people. I've made plenty of batches that have been disastrous, or a fragrance oil that I'll just put that in a whole slab. And before I know, the slab seized and it's no good, and this is what I say to people. You have to, I mean, it's like any job, I always say, you start a normal job. At the first month, you're terrible until you know what you're doing and you kind of get your feet a bit wet, whether you're a nurse, a creative person, whatever, it doesn't matter. Like, you just learn as you go along because you get that skill set. And, for me, and a lot of people that may have watched me, now rather than at the start may not realize, but I did not start with slab molds. I started with making 4 little bars of soap in one go. I mean, that's how I started. So, but you change and you learn so much as you go along. So it's really good that I think that you watch other YouTubers as well. And I do say that to people, not just me, but other ones as well. And I think, even though I may say something, Soy and Shay may say something else, you still need to do your own research in the background and go, is that right? Is it not? I mean, and some things are honestly just my opinion. And I'm sure Keely might have a different opinion too. So, and then you've got to find out what your opinion is. So that's what I say to people, what we're saying, it's our experience, I guess. Yes, of course, we've got knowledge, but it's also an experience base. So, and depends on what you sell, because you may have a different experience. And like I got asked this week, how do you make an oil sort of shimmer, a body shimmer? I said, well, I don't know, because I don't make it. And that's the thing, you have to be willing to be honest and say, don't know.
Yeah.
I mean, I could have figured it out, but I just said it's not something I make. So I think that kind of comes into everything a bit too, doesn't it? Now, what stage of business are you up to? So, like, do you think you're at the beginning, the middle, is your business sort of going the direction you're hoping it will go?
Well, it certainly did with the Christmas chaos.
Yeah.
I'm definitely still beginning. I still haven't settled on labels. I'm still printing labels on Word and cutting them out with a guillotine.
Yes.
So I've established. So I'm also a beginner in that I have no IT skills either.
Yeah.
And so I sourced a company to establish my website.
Yeah.
And that company set up my socials as well, but I haven't even started using them yet.
Yeah.
I didn't have a chance before I launched.
Yeah.
And then I know it's a good problem to have, but then I had no product left.
Yes.
So I'm still building inventory, and so within the next 2 to 4 weeks, I'll probably activate the Facebook and the Instagram channels as well.
Yes. Yeah.
But at the moment, I've got nothing to put on them, so
Yeah.
it's really hard because I don't want to create expectation,
Yeah.
and then not be able to deliver.
That's right.
So
And even myself on wholesale, if I only have 10, I just write 10, and people often say, well, why don't you make, 700 bars of lavender soap? And I'm like, well, I can't do that. It costs a lot of money to do that. So to make a slab of soap generally will cost around the $100 mark for a slab. So it's very expensive until you start, selling. And I think people really do forget that. But, we're all at different levels. And I think, too, some people have to start with no money. Some people put $50,000 straight in. And, I always say if you've got the money, I would definitely go all in. Get your boxes professionally made and be super professional. And as you said, get a coach or someone else to help. But
yeah,
lots of people aren't at that stage.
It comes back to, for myself, it comes back to the thing I said earlier where I'd rather do a few things and do them well. So I'm buying my packaging from Heirloom Body Products, actually.
Yeah.
The little white boxes with the window.
Yes.
I've just bought a cricket machine.
Yes.
So I haven't had a chance to play with that. And if I was totally honest, I'm not going to play with it because it's too scary. But I have a very good friend who is right into that kind of thing. Okay. So she'll fine tune it for me, and I'll just do as I'm told.
Okay, how do people find you? So let us know, like your website and a few ways people can find you.
Yeah, so my website is www, of course, thechampansoapery.com.au.
Yeah, and we will put some links for Jan as well on the videos and things, everyone. So there'll definitely be some links to her business. So you can email Jan direct, not me. So you can ask questions in the description, but I'll usually push you back over to the people. And who inspires you? Give us someone that, it could be a business, it can be a person, it can be a family member, a sister, anything.
Wow, that's put me on the spot.
Yeah.
Who inspires me? Any person that's prepared to put themselves out there and have a go, because it takes a lot of courage.
Yeah.
And it doesn't matter what field you're in. If you are going to sit back and wait for the right time, it's not going to happen. Yeah. So it takes a lot of courage to just get up and get on with it,
100%. I really agree with that, because my dad said to me once, you got to start today, not tomorrow. Everyone always says, tomorrow I'll get the boxes, tomorrow I'll design this, tomorrow I'll think about a website. But, tomorrow doesn't come. So it's definitely better to go, okay, today I'm going to, do this. And even if you don't have the money, everyone, I mean, get a piece of paper Just write a plan on a piece of paper, what you want to do now, what you want in 6 months, 2 years, 5 years, do you just want to sell at a market, or do you want to wholesale? Do you want to have your own shop? Doesn't matter whether you think it's unrealistic or you don't have the money, doesn't matter. You just have to come up with something. And sometimes I think we can actually inspire ourselves by going, gee, I didn't think I was capable of doing that, but wow.
Yeah.
And, I think the first time anyone sells their product, whether it's one bar of soap or a bath bomb, you're like, oh my goodness, someone bought this from me. This is sellable. And then you're on your way. That to me, I always think that is so important. If you can sell it, someone's buying it, your product is worthy. And a lot of us, you sort of go, oh, it's not perfect. Well, perfection really isn't there, everyone. If you're thinking about perfection, it's not there. Don't worry about that. But as we're talking about, Jen, like you might inspire yourself. Might be somebody that you've seen, or sometimes, I even go into a gift shop and I go, gee, that packaging is really good. I don't know the person, but once you're in that industry and you're looking, you can be even inspired by a package by going, that is really clever. Like I went to an expo and seen a company and I just thought, I think it was called Scrubber was their company. And I just thought that was a very, very clever, they just had an odd shape and it looked like dripping kind of oil down every package, but it was very good and consistent. So anybody, I do think that is super important. So I think we have come to an end, Jan, and I have to say a massive thank you. You're an absolute gem. I know you do work full-time as well as many of us do. I have another job, not just doing this. Obviously, this is my full-time job, but, it was not at the start, everyone. I did work a normal job as well as doing this until I sort of got a lot bigger and better in this. So I hope you've enjoyed our little chat today.
I've had a lot of fun. Thank you.
Thank you. And it was absolutely amazing. And so everybody go and check out Jan's website. Like I said, I will link it in and then you can see how amazing she is, and check out some small businesses, everyone. And we will have some new people on our next one. So everyone needs to watch out. Once a week, we are going to be having a new person coming up for the next, I think, 2 months. We're going to have one person every week, but Jan is the first cab off the rank. And I'm sure everyone will agree they got some great information from you.